What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the 10th album by new metal band Korn. Basically this product is called The Path to Totality and it came out in the late fall of 2011. So the thing about this particular product here is just the fact that this is a different variation from like the normal Korn stuff that particularly happened, either like the leery kind of gloomy kind of alternative metal or just more metal type senses from like albums like Take a Look in the Mirror and The Untouchable, some of those type pitches, or like the leeriness of albums like Korn 3 and like Issues and some of those type ones, and Follow the Leader, some of those type pitches. This is entirely new for the most part. I mean, I do want to say that there were like the occasional kind of dance hop kind of Korn songs, but this is like the most social Korn album I can think of within recent memory, just within pitches like that. They're always kind of more off the wayside and just in a more leery type sense, just something more moody, emo, and alternative within the pitch behind it. But this particular album has a lot of social flares about it. Just the aspect is the most liveliness, is the real festivity type one, probably like the biggest crowd pleasing type ones within a sense, and probably just the aspect of this something that really involves like stepping out with more of just like October, November in mind. Now this album in certain senses seemingly in certain senses may have caught some backlash just within the pitch because it is different from like the normal kind of gothic alternative metal and new metal from Korn as far as this first gonna happen, but it's definitely worth the investment to try out something new with this. And it kind of had me wishing that there would have been more returns to this particular sound since way back in 2011. As far as what's first gonna happen, this is definitely something that should be revisited. This was at like the peak of when dubstep and electronica, EDM type music was kind of within its prime, or at least on the upswing as far as this pitch gonna happen. Now, by the time you got to the paradigm shift way out in the fall of 2013, it's kind of within the pitch that EDM for the most part was starting to dissipate and dubstep was in its full-bound kind of primary, but it's just within the pitch. This is a very trendy type product, considering that this is a little bit ahead of the times before dubstep really became like a mainstream kind of full-blown kind of thing. It was probably about, spring, summer 2011, late 2010, some of those type fairs, but just within the aspect as it became more commercialized and mainstream, it's just kind of within the pitch that this is a good trendy type project that took advantage and really bolstered Korn quite a bit and just gave them some new kind of contemporary type bite within these particular times. So it's a good type pitch. Came out right on the heels of Korn 3, Remember Who You Are, which that particular product I reviewed back in December 2024. So that's the second most recent Korn project. That's the second most recent Korn project after this one that I've reviewed within the fairs. But some excellent type fare. That was a pretty vicious type one. That was definitely just Korn and like a more frustrated kind of hot weather type aggravation, just kind of Aggie type music for just like the summer heat and like a more manic type sense. But this particular album, not as manic. I mean, it is manic within a sense. It just kind of does it in a more social type format. So it's just not the normal head case type fare when you think of like more sinister type albums. I mean, it's not to say it's not sinister, but it's just kind of the concept of just a little bit more joviality towards it, just like the aspect, just like some more kind of just decent, more embrace. I mean, it definitely has that creepazoid type, definitely has like a relative kind of creepazoid type fashion about it, but it just really kind of narrows it down compared. It's not nearly as creepy as Korn 3, Remember Who You Are, or even albums like Follow the Leader, Issues, or like Life is Peachy or Korn from 1994, some of those type pitches. So it's not just within that normal kind of spook type fashion, 90s Korn and early 2000s Korn. It's kind of retains some of the ability of like the backyard kind of, this particular album has some of the backyard festivities of albums like The Untouchables and Take a Look in the Mirror, some of those type pitches with like a social bite of like, probably I would say a relative social album that reminds me of some of this album somewhat from what I remember. I'd probably say See You on the Other Side from 2005 had like some relative kind of, I feel like that album was kind of like Issues, just kind of in a more dance venue type sense, of at least some relative type step out with some of that type of PI. I don't remember, I really do need to purchase that album. It's just within the pitch as far as saying I look after it here. The social spark of this project is pretty high, so it's just a good concept. If you need like an album for your pals and you want something that's relatively trendy like the 2010s, is something that kind of has like that gothiness, basically like just getting a Marilyn Manson album or Rob Zombie album just with dubstep kind of within the pitch behind it. Jonathan Davis is still as much of a head case as he was in the 90s. It's just within the concept. This is more, like I said, more jovial and this more sprightly within the pitch as far as those aspects can happen. But some good type tones here. So this is gothic. It's basically like just getting October kind of dubstep type music, dubstep that you listen to around Halloween, just with the gnarledness. This is pretty much like a pounding type one within the pitch. I will definitely say this would probably be one for like a melter kind of playlist as far as this pitch is going to go. Just the aspect is something that really is going to have you tore up quite a bit. Like I don't designate that on every single song, but a lot of these have the impact of just really having some drinks in your system, really appreciating the impact of this. Bellas, dancing pitches like that is the concept, like a flat out kind of carnivorous type pounding within the aspect of just getting crunk a bit, or quite a bit within the tone as far as those aspects can go. This is just viciousness. This is like Linkin Park's Recharged album, which was definitely pretty snarly as far as those aspects can go. So just understand, for the most part, Korn does not typically kind of do like the full bound kind of get shit face type records where you're just Korn does not always do like the full bound kind of get shit face type records where you're just going to be torn out of your mind as far as what's first going to happen, but this is definitely one of those. This is one of the most vicious Korn albums in terms of the instrumentation, just the overall production value vibes, the gothicness, the overall flair and just vibey typeness that you get from here. Just very great ambience. It just has a lot of good tones, so there should be no reason why this should not have a good connect with about it. It's this very affable type product, especially in terms of their normal Korn type lyricness. This goes along with it. So yeah, I just would have to say this record is just pretty underappreciated just as a whole. I'd have to say, so I would not ignore this if you get the concept. Like I originally, that's the reason why I took this long to review this particular one, because I originally thought that this might have possibly going to be one of Korn's worst albums, but no way in any fashion. It's going to get an easy enough 10 out of 10. I recommend all 13 of the songs on the deluxe edition, so it's just a concept, just straight sweep just as far as those aspects going to go. I mean, I figured that would kind of happen with an aspect because it's Korn. I do typically, I mean, I think for the most part, I've liked every single one of their albums as far as those pictures kind of happens just within the tone. But I look after this is basically like simple enough kind of classic. This one that's just not as commonly talked about. I mean, for the most part, you think of like Life is Peachy, Korn from '94, Issues, Follow the Leader, sometimes Take a Look in the Mirror, The Nothing from 2019, some of those type ones, The Serenity of Suffering. A lot of those type ones is typical kind of alternative metal type fashion or metal type fashion, but this is one that tried something new and just nailed it, knocked it out of the park. But to just talk about these songs here, I'm just going to really tear through these just because, once again, I recommend every song. So all four of the singles just in the pitch are excellent just in the pitch. So Get Up is a nice one. It's like a pacey kind of dance groove and like a new dubstep flavor, I'd have to say, mixed in with like Korn scares as far as those aspects going to go. It's a real goth delight as far as those pitches going to happen. So this is like the most radio ready within the pitch behind, just the introductory to like the new sound that they were kicking off within the pitch behind it. Like I said, different from like the aspect, but it retains the same concepts. So I would just say the normal kind of backyard mess hall type, the normal kind of backyard hangouts that Korn would have on like some of their albums like Issues and Life is Peachy, some of those type ones. It is on here within the same type pitch, but it also just has it in like a dance venue type noise. So it's just kind of the concept of just switching between residential and more social outings just within the pitch. So either way it works. It's Friday is just more residential bound, or just the concept of having some step outs just within the pitch, just what you and your pals and bellas want to do is within the pitch behind it. But this is just one that kind of has like that normal Korn hauntiness, just an aspect of just more geared towards venues just in the pitch. I mean, it's social with an aspect, it just has the tone. It's real nice, normal hauntiness. I mean, it's just, and it's not like, the only thing about this particular album is it just doesn't have like those lyric kind of rumination. This is not a very ruminating type product. This is like a shot in the arm just in terms of like the jolting type energy. So if you're looking for Falling Away From Me type Korn and some of those type ones, or I think some other ones, songs like Chutes and Ladders and Falling Away From Me, some of those type ones that are just more kind of ambient and like the spook type of feel. This is very much jolting a product. So it's just, it doesn't have as much time to ruminate here. It's kind of more face value in terms of like the scare factor about it, but it's just kind of concept that's about the only thing missing, I'd have to say, for the most part, minus the rumination that you would have gotten for like albums like Issues and Follow the Leader. Apart from that, it has basically everything. But this might be like the closest thing. It has mild kind of traces. Get Up has like mild kind of traces of just like a little bit of ambient rumination within the pitch, but for the most part, it's just a little bit more jolted, as most of these songs kind of are as well. But Narcissistic Cannibal is the second single, so this is a real nice one as well. This turns up the edge factor, and this is more traditional, like the 2000s type fashion in Korn, with just a little bit more of that metal snarl. This like a dance floor kind of simmering with like metal mixed in, it has to say here. Gothic turn up fun to kind of get within those pitches, that has to say. So the concept, Get Up is more traditional, kind of Follow the Leader and Issues type Korn within the pitch, but Narcissistic Cannibal is more like Untouchables and Take a Look in the Mirror type Korn within the pitch. It's more of that backyard type noise. I mean, this one's not as much backyard bound. This is a little bit more on the dance floor, but it's just kind of within the pitch, just having some of that metal typeness that was more hangout type fashion. This is just more, I mean, there's a number of styles of Korn. When you think of like the lyric Korn, and then you think of like the metal Korn, this is just one that satisfies more like the metal fans. So this does have some metal in here within the pitch, just within the concept. It's not as full bound on display just because of the viciousness of like the electronica and dubstep type flavor of this product, but there are some moments on here like Narcissistic Cannibal, Chaos Lives in Everything, and like songs like, there's another one on here like Let's Go, some of those type ones that just have that traditional type fashion. I'd probably say Fuels the Comedy is another one kind of like that as well on the deluxe edition. That's just kind of the pitch. That's a nice one. It's kind of more metal Korn. Way Too Far is a nice one as well. And this is kind of So yeah, third single, Way Too Far, is another nice one. Like I was saying, good pitch for that. It's like a flaring kind of autumn dance club boiler kind of get here. Just a pulsating kind of demonic cut. Definitely, I'd say. And this is like some vintage Korn within the sense behind it. Just some more in like the fashion. It's kind of a banshee type one within the sense of like the late 90s type era. Just very edgy type one. So this is more leery type one. It's kind of similar to Get Up. I feel like there's probably two ones that is just more. There's two type ones that are more like Follow the Leader, Issue, some of those type pitches. But this is just one in particular that just has a little bit of like a slog type feeling about it. So there are plenty of ones like I was saying, this being like a head trip type project just within the pitch. Definitely being step out in like a dance club pitches like that. Socialness about it, but just kind of concept, but just really recognize you might have to sit down a bit, just like the concept, but just like the demonic typeness. So it's just Korn in like a haunted sense, just with like the dubstep. So this is definitely clever for the time, just because this came out well. This came out like a decent while before dubstep was really kind of like I was saying, commercial kind of full bound, like in 2012, 2013, some of those type pitches just within the con. This came out about half a year before dubstep really hit like the commercial widespread appeal of it, just within the pitch 2012, 2013, it's just within the pitch. But this is definitely like some good type fare, just the blend and fusion like Korn from like their leery type days, just within the concept of getting something a little bit more contemporary, just some new styles that works. So it's good type pitch. Chaos Lives and Everything is the fourth single, good type flair. It's like a consistent kind of stock dubstep, dark shreds, I'd have to say, within these pitches. Just good follow up single punch kind of get here. So it's just the concept. This one doesn't necessarily feel extra, but it's just kind of within the pitch, just kind of like some extra time just within the pitch. It has to say it's kind of the concept of one that's kind of haunting, but it's just not as full bound kind of dance shred type energy. I feel like Get Up probably just has a little bit more attention grabbing, just the head trip type appeal. Way Too Far is just a little bit more consistent, and the metal type factor of like 2000s Korn's a little bit more familiar with Narcissistic Cannibal. This is just kind of an extra type one. I mean, Korn usually has the ability to nail four singles. It's not like this one is not a good song. It's just kind of within the pitch. It's just the question. It just doesn't feel like it's commonplace that it would get as much full bound kind of airplay just within the pitch. Just kind of the pitch behind it. This kind of feels like one that kind of feels like the stepchild compared to the rest of the particular promotion of it. But it's not a bad song. It's just kind of within the pitch. It just has the appeal behind it. It's kind of a quieter type one within the pitch, but it's just a good, nice one to kind of have. This whole project is pretty clever, so I'm glad they went to the four singles. Some of those type fares just within. It's a good, nice appeal for that. So yeah, like I was saying, recommend all 13 songs in here as far as this first going to happen. So simple enough to say this album gets a 10 out of 10. It's within the concept. There's some definite ones on here like Kill Mercy Within. There's some nice type of appeals. There's some ambient type ones just in the concept. I mean, most of this album is just full bound amidst like the night fair, and there's not really too many traverse type ones just in the pitch. Like I said, this is more just kind of amongst like the social step out, just either backyard type fair like traditional Korn, or more social venue type step out for more of that socialized type factor, just really getting torn up within like a more kind of gothic October type sense. So it's just kind of within the pitch. Not as many night traverse kind of ones, just with like snack runs and pitches like that, picking up switches, some of that type fair or makeshift type ones. It's surprisingly it's not a makeshift album. Like Korn for the most part doesn't necessarily dodge that concept, but it's just kind of the pitch that you don't really get like the concept of like there's no flip mode type songs that like okay it's like 545, 615, something like that, gonna get crunk a little bit. It's no real 545, 615 type songs that get out of your work clothes, go ahead to the dance floor, just like the transit type project as far as this pitch gonna happen, just the pitch behind switching up the flip. No type concept for like switching up the flare as far as getting ready to step out for some of those type concepts. So it's just within the pitch, you're either there, it's just kind of a miss like right there where it's at right at that particular moment. There's no kind of transit to that particular concept. Not like there's a problem with that, but just that's kind of the concept. There's not Monday type songs, Tuesday type songs within the pitch. All of this is kind of more amongst like Thursday, Friday, Saturday type fare. But yeah, Kill Mercy Within's a nice one. Like I was saying, this is like a glaring kind of night ambience kind of get. Just some mess hall kind of cretinous job I feel like about this particular one. This feels like something Disturbed would kind of do just within the more kind of marinade. Not so much full bound kind of pumping, fist pump type energy like within the pitch behind it, just in like a dance floor type craze, but it's kind of concept like that metal kind of ambience, just a drink in your system, just kind of enjoying the ambience of it, just some goth, just like a gothic venue smash kind of get here, so it's good type of appeal. My Wall is like a real vicious type one. There are some ones on here like My Wall and Sanctuary that are very like snarly just within the pitch behind. I really appreciate these. Some of the most vicious songs I can think that Korn has done in terms of like the head trip type of appeal. My Wall is like a basking in like the night craze, kind of consistent, vicious EDM dubs. It's like a basking in the night craze type tune kind of get, just a consistent kind of vicious EDM and dubstep kind of kickstarts. Definitely, I'd have to say here, great song to get crunk to. So it's just within the pitch, just being amongst the dance floor, just really getting some drinks in your system. Then a responsible type sense, just within the pitch, as far as those fairs going to happen, just kind of the concept, just really getting tore up, just appreciating it. It's basically like Korn on steroids, just the concept of that gothicness, just the concept of just like that EDM kind of dubstep flavor where this is not like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 in terms of like the crazy factor. This is like, bell of the ball in terms terms of like the concept, like the sheer full blown kind of viciousness. That's just kind of the pitch, at least for 2011. Definitely for 2011, 2012, some viciousness, but it's the concept. I think a lot of this stands pretty strengthfully today. So just understand that concept is very nice pick for some Friday type material. Let's Go is a quality one. This is more traditional Korn. This feels like the closest thing to traditional Korn I'd have to say, in like some backyard kind of metal hops I'd have to say here, just with like that dubstep flavor. Definitely some dance type music on top of that, but it snarls pretty good. So it's just a good fashion, getting that Korn return to form as far as those aspects going to go. Just a concept, but just within a more kind of new type flavor that pulls out the style. So this new style of Korn, sometimes new things done in certain fashions, breaking from the norm can kind of be hit or miss, but this is a concept where Korn just knocked this one, like I was saying, out of the park, just completely kind of did that within that context. And another one that has that particular aspect is Fuels the Comedy. This is on the deluxe edition, which I do recommend getting, because both of those extra songs hit us heavily. It's like a usual kind of night romping excellence kind of get here, just to get crunk and homies noise kind of have within those aspects. Definitely a nice one to smoke a few too. So it's just the aspect of just getting tore up like you normally do when listening to songs like Trash and some of those type ones off of Korn Issue, some of those type fashions. If you played out that particular album wall to wall as far as this pitch can have the same sort of fare, let's get this party started, some of those type classic Korn hits I'd have to say from those days. Freak on a Leash, that's just a good aspect, just like some electric type flavor that really nails it. Tension is a quality one as well. Now this is another one that's just like Sanctuary and My Wall as far as this, or it's like Sanctuary and My Wall as far as this first going to happen. It's like a haunting kind of dubstep shocker to kind of get here, just get tore up, just a trendy kind of social loosen up, I'd have to say, and just super blissful as far as this pitch kind of goes. So it's a good type tone. Really, the exuberance of this product is pretty high, just in the aspect, just real extreme and supreme as far as those pitches kind of go. Just good type concept to enjoy the ambience of this particular fare. Not just ambience in terms of like a mellow type sense, but just the ambience of just like having some thrills, just being wide awake and just really getting enjoyment. It's a good type pitch. The fun factor on this album is extremely high. It's just a good concept for that. Burn the Obedience, another example of those type ones that's just like tension, some of those type pitches. I'd say it's like a gelling in like the night scene, kind of wide awake, hell of a night type flair. I'd have to say about this one. It's like a stock flair to kind of get here within those aspects. It's a good type tone. Pretty similar to songs like, not every single song is full blown carnage, but I do like some of these ambient kind of cretinous. I do like some of these ambient kind of cretinous, kind of basking type songs as well, like Kill Mercy Within and Tension, and then like Burn the Obedience. Some of these type ones in particular just have a little bit more relaxed type sense, just more chillax type factor, but just the concept, just really appreciating like the thrill, like an entirety of an extreme night as far as those first can happen. So it's just good type aspects for just not within the extreme viciousness, but just a good concept within some of that type capacity of just getting like relievers just amongst like the social night out. So it's good type fare. Bleeding Out's a nice one here. Now this is kind of more of an instrumental for like at least the first minute and a half of the song, but it's a good type of appeal. This almost felt like it could have been a makeshift song. This has like a gloomy kind of makeshift push in like the beginning, just like a dance tin energy, I'd say. Nice moody ambience about this one. It's just a shrill type one. So yeah, Bleeding Out is just similar to songs like Tension, some of those type ones, Kill Mercy Within, some of those type pitches, like I was saying, probably Burn the Obedience, some of those type ones in particular, I'd have suppose. So it's another good nice one within that relative type pitch. Just has like a good kind of instrumental type, just about like a good 90 seconds of the song, so like a good instrumental type fashion. It just has like some traditional kind of gloominess factor, so it's good type tone for that. And then Illuminati's a nice one as well. It's like a vintage kind of, Illuminati's like a vintage kind of 90s Korn feel and like a gothic malaise kind of dubstep glare, I'd have to say about this one in particular. Just an electric kind of backyard thrill as far as those pitches kind of go. So this one goes pretty well with Let's Go, just within the pitch behind it, just kind of the fashion, Smoke a Few, just within pitches like that. Pretty similar songs like Fuels the Comedy as well. And some good nice batches kind of get here within those particular fashions of it. Just real nice gothic scare as far as those pitches kind of go. Just typical kind of scraggly tree and pitches like that. Just autumn shockers as far as those pairs going to happen. Yes, the concept about it is the hauntingness is kind of on here, but it's just kind of in a more like scare fashion and just like in your face about it compared to like the more kind of sinks in type feeling. This is not as much a like the fashion about it is just very snappy. It's just more of like a jolt, like I was saying. Just the concept, the scare fashion is not within the ambience of the lyrics where it gives you chills later, just within the concept. Just kind of the concept that is just more kind of, this particular album when it comes to scare factor is just more in like a Jack in the Box kind of instantaneous type fashion within the pitch behind it. So this is the pitch. I mean, it definitely has like that shrill type factor about it, but this is kind of, like I said, it's this more face value type product, but it nails the particular vibe. So it's a good type appeal. But just thinking of like traditional type fashions like Falling Away From Me and Make Me Bad had some of those type ones, just kind of the fashion behind it, but it nails it. It's just kind of the pitch. It's very thrilling. It's just the concept of really just cutting loose and just getting towards the ambience. It just like some real kind of vicious kind of autumn weekend relief as far as those pairs gonna have. So it's just within the tone. So I think I talked about every song in here as far as those pairs gonna have. I think that's the last of them as far as those pitches kind of go. Actually, I don't think I talked about Sanctuary. There's one more as far as those pitches gonna happen. Sanctuary is like a hella slug, kind of vicious dubstep kind of head trip. I'd say here, just pump it up, kind of Night Carnage Blitzer as far as those pitches kind of go. It's good type one. This is pretty much one that goes along with. There's another one on here that I was thinking about. Like I think it was My Wall, some of those type fashions, but Sanctuary is definitely one within that particular fair. It's just one to really get tore up to. Just knows the concept of having to sit down a bit. These are some type ones that are some of the most gnarled type ones that Korn has particularly done. And this is just the sort of song that Korn is right at home on those particular fairs. So it's good, great and excellent concept for that. So that's the concept. So this album gets a 10 out of 10. So just I'm going to go ahead and give it 10 out of 10 as well. Just the pitch behind it is a very inspired Korn here. They did something new. They nailed it. It wasn't the fact. It's just kind of concept that they retained like former Korn. They retained like former Korn strengths and just gave it like a shocking kind of jolt of energy that just made a real explosive kind of social spark that just nailed it on all cylinders as far as this pitch going to happen. It's very gothic, very tinted like that, very emo just in the pitch, alternative within that fashion, just nails the particular vibes. Some social step out, plenty of good rave and dubstep type venue type blitzers within the pitch behind it, plus some old school kind of backyard type fashions kind of get within that sense that has that leeriness factor just in a more kind of just immediate and instantaneous type fashion. So it's just within the tone. This is basically Korn on steroids, just like a social spark about this particular one. So it's just the concept of just not traditional, like most of this album, just is a little bit more contemplative pitch like that, but this album really has like the vicious type of appeal, just getting towards like some social sparks and just having like the conduct of like some real gab about it just from the pitch. So it's homies type music, good type fireflies and gothiness, some alternative ballads pitches like that, just the concept of like some, you know, just really sparky kind of Halloween and autumn type here within the fashion. So it nails that appeal. 4 singles pitches like that. There's no real spare songs on here within the pitch. All these songs hit heavily. So in terms of the future, like Korn, their most recent album that came out is Requiem. As far as those pairs can happen, that's the only album left I have to get to, and then the whole Korn sweep will be taken care of, unless there's like an EP or a live album, something like that. For the most part, I don't know if the live albums would be full bound kind of necessary unless there's some new stuff on there. But I basically covered everything now as far as this pitch going to go. I just need to get to Requiem, which is going to happen several months from now, or not, which is going to happen within the next several months as far as this pitch can happen. So it's good type of appeal. We'll get to that one just in the pitch, but this is a classic here, easy enough to see. This is one of Korn's best, kind of ignored for the most part, kind of the concept that it gets some pan type reception within a relative type fashion, but I would not pay attention because this is a good shot in the arm as far as something different, a good concept. It gets some, like some social spark that's just unlike most of their discography.